We now turn our attention to boxing and the upcoming super fight taking place on Saturday the 8th of May 2021 is Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. Going to turn straight to the betting because in terms of this fight, as usual, we're going to be looking for the value. We've got Saul Canelo Alvarez 1-7 with the bookmakers. The draw 25-1. Billy Joe Saunders, you can get 5-1. On the Betfair exchange, you've got Canelo at about 1-5, so slightly better. You've got the draw 29-1, slightly better than what the bookies are offering. And you can get nearly 6-1 on Billy Joe Saunders, 7.0 on the exchange. Canelo 1.21 on the exchange and 30.0 on the exchange. So that equates to Canelo 1-5, draw 29-1, and Billy Joe Saunders about 6-1. So looking at those odds, Canelo is a hot favourite. Bookmakers 1-7. So if you fancy Canelo in this one and you just want to bet on the straight win market, you're going to have to put down a lot of sauce to make it worthwhile. Billy Joe Saunders 5-1. So straight away looking at those odds with the bookmakers, 6-1 with the Betfair exchange, I'd say you've got to look towards Billy Joe Saunders. This is a guy who's been a champion for a long time, WBO champion. He's never really fought the big names he should have done. His record is covered with a lot of names you've never heard of. I don't know what the reason is for that. Whether it's he was with Frank Warren for a long time. Maybe Frank Warren struggled to get him the big fights. I don't really know the reason. I mean, he should have been in there with better names than this. He has beaten David Lemieux in a masterclass in 2017. He was elusive. Lemieux looked slow against him. Lemieux is he's an elite fighter. He's a world-class fighter, but he couldn't lay a glove on Billy Joe Saunders. And Saunders won a shutout victory on points, and that's as impressive as he's looked. He also looked good when he beat Andy Lee to initially win the world title. But those are his two big wins, really, Andy Lee and Lemieux. Whereas you look on the other side, Canelo's record is just littered with big names. Sergei Kovalev, Daniel Jacobs, GGG, Gennady Golovkin, that is. 1 draw, 1 win. Miguel Cotto, he beat Hall of Fame fighter Shane Mosley, Austin Trout. He's also shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather in a losing effort. So Canelo is highly decorated. 55 fights at his age is impressive. And he's already Hall of Fame, and he wants to cement his legacy. He wants to cement his reputation as the best of his era, but thought of by many at the moment as pound for pound the best. I actually think this fight of Billy Joe Saunders is going to test him. We know about Canelo's power. We know about his footwork. We know about his powerful combinations. But on the other side, we've got Billy Joe Saunders, who's known for his footwork, he's known for his ring IQ, he's known for his ring intelligence, he's known for his speed of punches, and he's known at being a master of hitting and not getting hit. That's the best thing he has in his armoury, and Floyd Mayweather has that in his armoury. I don't think anybody has excelled at it as much as Floyd Mayweather did. The art of hitting people and not getting hit, getting in, getting your shots away, getting your combinations away, and then getting out of danger. Floyd is one of the best at that, but Billy Joe Saunders is one of the best at that as well. If you watch the Lemieux fight, you'll see that he was very elusive. Lemieux couldn't get a shot away. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that Lemieux's footwork and movement is as good as Canelo's, but there is a comparison there. Canelo's a power puncher. If you've watched some of his fights, let's look at the Amir Khan fight. So he knocked out Amir Khan cold. But leading up to that, Amir Khan was ahead on the points. As far as points and rounds, Amir Khan had racked up some rounds. There's an argument to say Canelo allowed him to do that, but I think Amir Khan boxed very well early on. He showed fast hands and fast feet. And these are the attributes that Billy Joe Saunders has. So, there's kind of a pattern there. Floyd Mayweather, he struggled against. He lost against Mayweather. That was another masterclass. Mayweather absolutely schooled him. Canelo wasn't able to lay a meaningful shot on him. When he did hit him, he hit the gloves. So we can see Billy Joe Saunders has the style which could cause Canelo problems. Canelo has power, but he's going to have to catch Billy Joe Saunders to actually, harness that power and actually gain, the advantage from that power. He's going to have to catch him. Billy Joe Saunders gets in, quick flurry of hands, scores points on the card, gets out. It's not going to be an easy night for Canelo. And looking at the odds, I don't think the odds are right. I think the bookies have underestimated Billy Joe Saunders. I have noticed that the Americans they saw Billy Joe Saunders fight Lemieux, but they seem to have very little knowledge of him. And that's obviously to do with his lack of fighting in America and the lack of names on his record. So they don't seem to know him very well. They seem to be describing him as just a mouthy guy who's going to get taught a lesson. Billy Joe Saunders is a hugely skillful boxer, and anyone who doesn't put respect on his name is going to get a surprise when they get in the ring with him. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying that Canelo is not the rightful favourite. He is the rightful favourite, obviously. But 1-7 and 5-1 on the exchange, we're talking about 1-5 Canelo and 6-1 Billy Joe Saunders. I think the odds, there's too much room there. I wouldn't have Billy Joe Saunders at any more than 7-2, 7-2, 3-1, that sort of price. So when you're getting 5-1 with the bookies, Paddy Power have got 5-1, I think, Sky Bet, and then Betfair Exchange nearly touching 7.0, so you're talking about 6-1. It's worth a go. Now, there's an obvious problem. Problem is that Canelo, he's the cash cow of the business, and we know, we've been watching boxing long enough. We know that on occasion the judges are a little bit partial, a little bit biased to certain fighters, and Canelo, he has that kind of reputation. Billy Joe Saunders, to win this fight would actually have to pull off an absolute masterclass like he did against Lemieux, or pull off something similar to what Floyd Mayweather did to Canelo, to get the victory on the cards. Really, he's going to need a knockout. Now, Billy Joe Saunders he's powerful. When he hits you, it stings. If you've seen the shots that he struck on Lemieux, if you've seen when he actually strikes with the left hand, it does sting and it does hurt, but it's not really one punch knockout power. Canelo has that in his armory. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't. So, in terms of him getting a knockout, I think it's going to be tough, and especially with the skills Canelo has. Canelo's got everything, really. So, this is the problem for me. I would still put a little bit on Billy Joe Saunders. I wouldn't go mad, but just because of the value that's on offer. But the bet that I really like is the draw. If you look at the draw, 25-1 with the bookies, you're getting 30.0 with the exchange. That's equivalent to 29-1. It's got to be worth a go, hasn't it? If Billy Joe Saunders puts on a decent display, and maybe shaves it, to the viewer and to everyone watching, maybe might deserve a split decision. I can't see him getting that split decision. The way that boxing works and the politics with the judges and all that, I think they'd give it a draw. If Billy Joe Saunders is ahead, or seems to have won the fight, it will be given a draw. I think Golovkin suffered with this, didn't he, in the first fight? I actually thought Golovkin won the first fight. It was given a draw. It's open to debate, though. Canelo did very well. It could have gone either way. But it was given a draw, and I thought Golovkin had the beating of him. A similar thing could happen here. Billy Joe Saunders getting out and in, quick hands, scoring points, giving Canelo a difficult night. Canelo closing distance. If you remember the Amir Khan fight, Amir Khan, a fighter who uses fast hands and, fast, good footwork. Canelo was stalking him up until the knockout, but I think Canelo pretty much lost every round leading up to that. This could happen here. I see it being close anyway, but it is possible. If you watch the fight and you'd have it as Billy Joe Saunders winning something like 1-1-5, 1-1-3, I can't see him getting the decision. Fighting away, he's not fighting at home. So the draw, look at those big juicy odds. You don't have to put on a lot of money. I think it's worth a go. So I'd say a little bit on the Billy Joe Saunders win, 2 or 3 points of your bankroll, and then a point on the draw. You don't have to put a lot of money down, but there's a big return there. 30-1, 29-1. Those are big odds. It's worth a go. If Canelo wins and shows his class and knocks Billy Joe Saunders out, or wins on points unanimously, fair play to him. But I'll let him carry on at 1-7 with the bookies and 1-5 on the exchange. So to summarise, I see a little bit of value for Billy Joe Saunders. I'm not saying that he's going to wipe the floor with Canelo. It is the possibilities we're looking at here is a Canelo knockout, Canelo unanimous decision, or a Billy Joe Saunders shaving it, like a split decision, or a Billy Joe Saunders win and then getting robbed on the cards for a draw. These are the scenarios we're looking at, and if you look at the odds, I think it's got to be worth a go. So that's my recommendation: 2 or 3 points, Billy Joe Saunders to win, and then on the draw, 1 point. Please give your opinions. I know there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with this and going to say Canelo's going to walk away with it. I'm not saying bet the house on it. Put a conservative amount. Enjoy the fight. That's the main thing. Give your comments if you have any opinions on the fight, and I'll see you next time.